So I have another viewer question to answer, and this one is from a viewer named Shannon is Sweet. And she, as many of you have asked actually, want to know kind of the worst of the worst that I've seen, or some of the hardest situations. And I know I've talked about kind of the emotional and some of those things where we've buried husband and wives who've died in car accidents or plane crashes, or people leaving behind young children or little kids crying that they want their daddy that's in the casket. Those of course are heart-wrenching and horrible situations that how our hearts don't shatter into a million pieces, I don't even know. But our job is to care for people, so we focus on that, and that helps us to take care of the people as they're breaking apart even a million times worse than we are, because they're the ones who have actually endured the loss. So worst of the worst, I guess, situations that I've seen and things that I've been a part of, it is always hard to mentally, I think, wrap yourself around caring for the body of someone who has been murdered or raped and murdered or tortured and killed, because that it was not a peaceful death. It was not a welcomed death. And often you can see the fighting on their, them fighting, how they fought back, the defensive wounds, I guess would be better words, on their hands. And so they wanted to live, they had things to live for. And so that the end was probably painful and scary for them. To me, that is hard. It is hard. And it's not about me. None of this is. But if you ask me the question, I'm going to answer it. It's hard to stand and care, looking at that person and not become immersed in the sadness for them and for their end, even focusing on caring for them and what we need to do. It is still hard not to get wrapped up in that pain because of the situation. So, and I've had quite a few people who've had ends that were in that way. Children who were taken and, I say taken, they were murdered. So those, I think, are the hardest in a lot of capacities. It's always confusing when you're caring for someone who committed suicide and you want to know kind of what was going on in their head and why, and if there was nobody that could have saved the situation, but then you're trying to put blame on somebody else, and that's not the case either. It's, it was their decision, and you just wonder, were things really that hard, and are they really happier with this, and that's not the case. But that's hard too. So let's see, gruesome and tragic. So we've talked about tragic. Gruesome, I think people who have died in fire is there's a contortion to their body that makes them look like and a contraction of the muscles and things that makes them look like they're kind of screaming and crying in pain. Even if they were overcome by the smoke long before the fire got to them, it's just how the body contracts, and it just visibly is not a pleasing look at all. Had some people we've cared for that have been, eaten by critters or by animals after the death. That's always kind of funky. I've told you guys before, I don't like when bones are not where they should be. So broken bones to me is just, kind of grosses me out. So, nothing earth-shattering here. So I'm just kind of, somebody's going to go, ooh, she rambled on and on, but I am kind of rambling, just trying to give you some answers and literally not thinking about this a lot before, because I feel like I'm giving my most earnest, honest answer to you if I'm kind of going off the cuff a little bit. So, always surprised by new things we see every month, every year, because of people getting creative with how they kill people, and modern medicine and the things that diseases do to bodies now, it's just horrific, some of it. And it's unbelievable how some people can live through what cancer does to their body and what some diseases do to them. So we're always seeing things that are pretty nasty, but you know, we weren't the people being strong and you know, struggling through. They were the ones that get the credit for what they went through, and we get to try and make them look whole again for their families and try and do some restoring and care for their loved ones while they're in pain. So that's what we focus on, and maybe that's a romanticized version of it, but you know, that's what we have to focus on to do what we do. So thanks for the question. Shannon is sweet, and post your questions, email them to me, and I will make sure to answer them. Bye, guys.